Okay. Okay. Interesting opening. Uh, that's an actor, right? That's not actually Walt. This is a really fun way to give exposition to the audience. Like, really good. Can't tell if that was just an exaggeration or if this is in the future and great opening. Great opening. But he doesn't know that he's dead. Yeah, we'll see about that.
Chemical bonds are what make matter matter.
Yeah.
Bonds are what hold the physical world together, what hold us together.
Yeah, no, I got it.
Bonds.
The text source says otherwise. It tells me.
Danny Trejo! Oh, this is gonna be a good episode. Oh, this is gonna be a good episode, is it?
Couldn't you please just let this slide?
Can't do that, kid.
Don't bullshit a bullshitter.
Don't bullshit a bullshitter. Wow. Walter knows, obviously. He knows. He knows how a bullshitter acts because he is a bullshitter. They talk about bonds, though. Bonds and what makes matter matter.
Oh, and by the way, that thing we talked about, when I said handle it,
Focusing on his shadow.
well, don't. Just let it go.
It's too late, Walt. He has already handled it. Nice place, though. Very symmetrical.
Look, I'm his father, all right?
You're Mr. Jackson?
Yes. That's me, Walt Jackson. No, as I said, I
Nice shot. Matter bonding. Oh, there he is.
Come on in, Dad.
Ah, yeah, he was listening in. He had a rough night, that's for sure. You know, from the previous episode.
This business.
That dog memory? Son of a bitch.
Yeah, Walter.
I meant fear and intimidation. I meant get your money back. I certainly never meant
Didn't
for
mean
you
to
to
kill somebody?
No!
Well, too late, because dude's dead.
Oh God.
Well, technically, he didn't kill him.
Hey, here's your money. Spend it in good health, you miserable son of a bitch.
Oh, blood money. Whew. You gotta clean that first. Nice framing, though. This episode has a lot of, like, framing. All the bullets are there?
I didn't say I killed him.
Exactly.
Crushed his head with an ATM machine right in front of me. I mean, crushed it like,
Yeah.
oh my God, the sound.
Oh, yeah, the sound was... Yep. I'm glad we're on the same page here, Jesse.
Go ahead. Say it. No, I ain't no Tuco or Crazy Ant. I can't run a crew. Come on. Point made, man. Point made. Yes.
You can tell how much of a toll the previous episode had on Getchy. God damn it, Badger. Yeah, it's too much for Jesse. We know this, right? He's not cut out for this line of work. But look at that, a bit of sympathy from Walter.
Please, Senor Sente. No de, please.
Yeah, it's a different environment. Not up for jokes. Out of your element.
Sun Tzu.
Son who?
6th century Chinese general. Wrote
The Art of
Art
War. Yep.
If you know your enemy is yourself, you'll fight without danger in many battles.
See, verdad.
Yeah, he doesn't know what they're saying. I don't know what they're saying. Just laugh at the joke. Oh yeah, it's a very awkward situation for Hank.
I'm Heisenberg.
Oh, look at this.
I mean, did he really squash that dude's head with an ATM machine?
Who sang that?
Damn, man, it's all over town.
Oh boy.
He really did it?
He wasn't the one who did it, though. But what's Walter's gonna say?
You didn't hear that from me.
Oh, love the... Oh, that's great. That's great sound design, and he's smiling as well. Yeah. The sound effect of the sirens as the atomic bomb fell. That's great. Great editing. Good stuff. And what is this dynamic?
Hey, Ted.
The way he's looking at her.
Walt, how's he doing?
Oh, he is doing great. Yeah.
You can kind of feel the awkwardness in the scene as they try to keep the conversation going.
How about get your old job back?
Hey, that works well.
Yeah, man.
All right, now look at this. Look at this. Here, and here.
Laying out the battle plans.
They won't like it. But I say they're not going to do a thing about it.
Oh. The ambition. Again, the framing.
You crush their skull with an ATM machine.
That's not how it happened.
Who cares? Just as long as it's our competitors who believe it and not the police.
Oh my.
It's to build a narrative.
I don't even know
The blowfish puffs up, okay? The blowfish puffs himself up 4 or 5 times larger than normal. And why? Why does he do that? So that it makes him intimidating. That's why. And that's you. You are a blowfish. But you see, it's just all an illusion.
I'm a blowfish.
You
Wow.
are a blowfish.
I'm a blowfish.
Blowfish. That's
Yeah.
Walter is a master of words. Danny Trejo. There he is.
Vamos a hacer un negocio. It means let's make a deal.
Let's make a deal. Ah.
Large size floor runner. Look at that, huh? It's a rug you put on the floor.
Wow. Hank is very out of his element. His mannerisms, the way he's acting.
Hey, how about you stop jerking us off here?
Taking action.
Hey, white boy. My name's Tortuga.
Oh. Good name.
Tortuga means turtle. That's me. I take my time, but I always win.
Yeah.
This is awesome, man.
Yeah, Hank, you can't do anything, Hank.
As big as you are. Thank you.
As big as you are.
someone willing to work around that, apparently.
Come on, Marie.
You know Walt, he would just...
Speak of the devil.
Speak of the devil! Everything okay?
Everything's perfect.
He's in a hurry. That's for sure. Pukes. Keeping up appearances. Wow. You gotta kind of respect Walter for keeping his appearance of, you know, being as healthy as possible. Despite the obvious.
Notice anything? Oh.
Yeah, beautiful.
A funeral.
Really, Walt?
What about the welding fumes? Isn't that why you had to quit in the first place?
They've gone green since then. They have some kind of welding or something.
Green welding.
Who's running things?
Ted, the son.
Huh.
Anyway,
I mean, knowing that Walter cares about his family, I don't think Walter wants Skylar to, you know, to go through this, especially, you know, with the baby and all. So, yeah, very conflicting for Walter.
So,
Hey.
John.
hey man, you're Pinkman.
You're a man. Everybody's been talking about you. Yeah.
Not all, man. Keep it real.
Wow. Wow. The narrative is...
Thought your name was Jackson.
Just say it's an alibi. It's a nickname. Just... Ignores it. Adds more to the suspicion, though.
¿Qué chingos piensan mandándonos un bocón que ni hable el idioma?
Políticos.
Wow.
Hey, something I need to know about? What? Oh, that? Nah, man. We were just,
Hank knows. He knows. He knows. He knows. He knows it's all bullshit. Oh. Something's moving there. What a reveal, though. Holy shit. Wow. What the fuck? Hola. Hello, DEA. What the fuck? Yeah, that's...
I need evidence back. Right, pretty big one.
Dude. Yeah, breathe, Hank, breathe. I mean, we know the effects.
welcome to...
Dude! Oh, this just got worse. That's very funny show. That's very funny. That's a very funny transition show.
This is our city. All right? All of it. The whole damn place.
The difference in power, right, between them and what Hank is dealing, right? Whole new different level.
Now they'll be working for you. You're working for me, and they're working for you.
Talking about work as they are in... as they're behind a wall that says the fall of communism. That's interesting place to be, to say the least.
Gotta own this city.
We're not charging enough.
Oh.
corner the market, then raise the price.
It is also great that whatever Walter is doing right now is kind of, you know, it's the art of war, right? Know your enemies, corner them. Did the glass in the photo just broke? I think it did.
Hey, how's Denise doing?
We split up about a year ago.
Presents an opportunity. Again, kind of like setting these two. I don't know if it's gonna happen, but
We should have lunch one day, like old times.
yeah.
Oh, hey.
Hey yourself.
Close and yet out of reach.
My name's not really Jesse Jackson.
Here we go. Wow. Wow. I love this. I love this. I love the awkwardness.
I don't know what the hell's taking so long.
There's a bit of sexual tension here. Yeah, she's looking... Yeah. Yeah. Great way to end the episode. Wow. That was an exquisite episode of Breaking Bad, to say the least. Dare I say that was quite a banger of an episode. Okay, let me stop. Yeah, it was such a good episode. Oh man, I'm still thinking about the Hank subplot and all, but like overall, like the episode is great. I mean, Walter put it, put it well, right, in the beginning of the episode, right? Bonding, right? It's about bonding, what makes matter, and of course, like the different relationships between, each of these characters and each of these factions, right? If we're talking about factions, we're talking about like the DEA with, the I guess the drug cartel or whatever, right? If we're talking about relationships, there's multiple in this episode, right? Obviously, Marie and Skylar, and then Skylar with her former co-worker, right? Jesse and Walter, Jesse and his family, Walter and his family as well, Jesse and Jane. And a lot of that just makes, their dynamic work, right? That's like the crux of it, right? It's these different people with their different interactions, with their different dynamics, with their different relations with one another, and that is what makes this entire story work. But overall, this episode was fantastic. I think the direction was spot on. I think the music was really good as well. I mean, everything has been great. I mean, has there ever been a bad episode of Breaking Bad? I don't think so. I would say this is probably amongst the upper echelon of like great Breaking Bad episodes. There's this, I don't know, like the cinematography in this episode has been really good. Like I'm seeing a lot of like these shots of where, characters are in frame within a frame, right? Walter and Jesse at Jesse's house, right? There's this shot of them in frame multiple times, right? And then of course, Jesse's house itself, right? If you look at it from the outside, very symmetrical, right? But it kind of goes to show, like it's kind of like two different objects, right, being formed into one symmetrical a house, right? And then of course, the stuff with the DEA, right? Or the it's not really, it is the DEA, but it's like the upper rank DEA level of like the state and whatever. Like I'm not really too sure about like the hierarchy and whatnot, but this is Hank's promotion, right? Hank went from like a part of the DEA from like I think it was Albuquerque, and then now you know, I guess the whole state of New Mexico, I suppose. But correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, like just everything about this episode has been phenomenal, has been great. The acting as well, like can't really forget about that. Danny Trejo is in this episode. He was in the beginning of the episode, like the very beginning, right, during the musical video segment of the cold open. But I didn't realize it was him, like, because it was from the back, and it just kind of looks like, you know, like you know, the average actor portraying a drug cartel and whatnot, but it's actually Danny Trejo. Like I didn't even recognize him. I need his name to be like mentioned in the credits for me to realize, oh, that's Danny Trejo. But it is interesting and kind of funny at the same time that Danny Trejo kind of became like the special guest star for this episode, and he only appeared for like a scene or two, and then he dies. You know, it was gruesome and yet one of the best reveals of a death I have seen in a pretty long time, to say the least, right? His head just on a turtle, and like the symbolism and all that. Bro, that's great. It's great. This episode is great. It's really great. Speaking of the opening segment of the episode, right? What is up with this? This is a great like opening segment, by the way. Like I've talked about this during the reaction of how this is like a great way for the show to tell the audience, hey, you know, like this is what is going on within the world of Breaking Bad right now, right? It's giving us the exposition that we need, but it's doing it in a really fun way that I can't really blame them at all. You know, like sometimes, you know, there's this stigma against exposition, right? Where, you know, if it's like way too obvious, people would criticize it for saying like, you know, like the story or the writers can't really, you know, tell the narrative or tell, you know, the audience information in a natural way, so they have to jam it in, like as if the audience can't, you know, understand much of the story or the nuances and whatnot, so they have to like bang it in on the audience's head, like, hey, this is the story, this is what is going on, and all that stuff, you know. And I get that, right? It is fair criticism for exposition, but if exposition is done right, if exposition is done in a really fun way where you get the message across, but at the same time you're making the audience having fun as well, like this, that is something to be commended for. Like they could have gone with like the usual, you know, let's say, for example, like a typical exposition dump that seems natural would be have the cold open be like the DEA or, you know, or any of the police or the FBI or any governmental body, you know, talking about like, you know, all right, here's what we're gonna do. All right, there's this new person called Heisenberg in town, and they've been talking about him, and he's been, you know, running around, and he's getting up the ranks and whatever, you know, like, and Breaking Bad has done that before in season 1, if you know, if we all remember, right? There's multiple instances where the cold open is basically the DEA, Hank, and everybody just telling, okay, here's the situation, here is what is going on, right? That is exposition, right? It's not bad exposition, but it is still exposition, right? And again, like I said, there's nothing bad with exposition as long as it's, you know, as long as it's not in your face. But to have the exposition like this, where it's clear that the writers are just having fun and go, hey, let's just have a mariachi band. Is this a mariachi band? I don't know. I'm not too familiar with the culture, but just to have, you know, like a music, like a music video, right? With all of these, you know, performers and having it shot the way as it is, and having a really catchy tune as well. That's great. This is fun. I love this. And this went on for like a good solid 3 minutes. 3 minutes of this. Like, they are dedicated. I'm gonna say it. This is probably my favorite cold open of any Breaking Bad episode. Like, I mean, yeah, there's the teddy bear in you know the black and white and in the pool and whatnot, and that is still a mystery, right, for season 2. But you know, in terms of like making me feel fun and engage and already hooking me in immediately, and the absolute like tonal shift between like, oh yeah, this is really catchy and funny, not funny, but like a catchy and a light-hearted tune, but the lyrics and the context behind it is pretty dark and really serious, right? There's this juxtaposition aspect to it. Yeah, it's probably my favorite cold open of the show. It's definitely the most creative, to say the least. So I am absolutely dying to know if there's gonna be more like this. If there's more like this, maybe not in this season, maybe in the next season, where they are having fun or they are having creative, you know, they have this creativity behind the cold opens and whatever. Because again, like the cold opens of Breaking Bad is probably like the best aspect. Well, not the best aspect. There's plenty of best aspects of Breaking Bad, but like one of the best aspects of Breaking Bad, right? The cold opens, right? The throwing your audience in to the fray and not knowing what is going on, and then figuring it out as the episode goes along, and it becomes like a ticking time bomb of like, oh, this is gonna happen soon because we already saw this happening in the opening. Now we're just waiting for it to happen in the episode. And then you have this fantastic stuff. Like they even have like an actor playing, you know, Heisenberg, this character, right? I don't know who this is supposed to be. The one on the left, this person who's holding the umbrella. I don't know who that is supposed to represent. But yeah, awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. And then of course we continue from that scene in the beginning to Walter talking to this kid in his class, right? And again, as we all know, whenever Walter is talking about his lectures in class and whatever, it is usually an analogy for like the theme of the episode, or you know, maybe a thematic element of, you know, a certain character and such, right? But in this scene, right, as I've talked before, right, how Walter is talking about like bonds, what makes matter, right? It's about the relationships between these characters, right? And what makes them bond, what makes them tick, right? And we see like instances in this episode where characters are either bonding together closely, right? Jesse and Jane, and characters slowly falling apart. Walter and Skyler. And this specific episode, we definitely see that happening, right? It's the bloom of one relationship and the fall of another, right? I'm still not sure what the angle they're going with when it comes to Skyler, right? But it's I would say the cliche of meeting the co-worker or the old friend who probably had a thing with each other before, but now they are separated. And now they're back again, so there may be something brewing. Like, are they gonna go that route, or are they gonna go someplace else, right? But the fact that it is pretty much established, right, that Skyler and this other character whose name is slipping out of my mind, but it's the fact that these two characters used to have history together, and the fact that they are now together again in a time where Skyler is, of course, having this unwavering thought about her marriage and her bond with Walter because of, you know, all of the things that happened over the past few episodes. It does present a new layer of opportunity, right? Again, we don't know where this is leading, but at least the show is basically telling us, hey, this could lead to somewhere. This could lead to some place. We're not telling you if it is actually gonna go that route, but the gate is open, the door is open, right? And I would say this is actually great because it provides us, the audience, this like questioning, right? This question of like what I'm doing right now on whether or not Skylar will go that route or not, whether if the story will go that route. And it's the question of loyalty. It's the question of, can these two stick together? Can these matter still be a thing, or is it gonna fall apart and become separate? The splitting of matter, the splitting of atoms. I say this because of one of the settings of this episode, where they are in a museum, and of course we were looking at like the old historic moments of World War II, especially during like the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki with like Little Boy and Big Boy. Yeah, the splitting of atoms, where when two of them breaks, of course, I mean, it's an oversimplification, but you know, split the atom, boom, explosion happens. It erupts. Matter no longer becomes matter. It becomes something else entirely. It becomes an explosion, right? It's a chemical reaction. So, interested to see where this new subplot is gonna go, right? When it comes to Skylar, I feel like this is necessary for Skylar's character and, you know, for the plot of the show itself. Because so far, Walter has been the only one of the two that is doing the nefarious stuff, right? The questionable things, right? The thing that is clearly challenging the audience on whether or not we view him as a good person or not. For me personally, and again, like I've pretty much talked about this, and my feelings of Walter's character has pretty much set in stone for a while now. I don't think that Walter is a good person, but he is an excellent character, right? And that part of Walter that makes him this not a good person, but not a terrible person, right? But this broken character, right? This person who is trying his best to balance between, you know, his two lives, while also simultaneously at the same time ruining those two lives, because it is you can't choose between one or the other, but Walter chooses both at the same time regardless, and that has consequences. Like, that is what makes Walter a great character, but obviously, you know, he has done a lot of pretty bad things, and a lot of unforgivable things, I might add, right? And his pride and his ego is what is ultimately going to lead to his downfall, right? But it's always focusing on Walter and never on Skylar. Skylar has always been seen as, you know, this good person, maybe too good of a person, right? Who, of course, always wants like the best for not just for, you know, for everybody, not just for Walter, but for herself, right? Especially given the situation and the circumstances that she is pregnant with a baby, right? Of course he would be stressed out. Of course she would be, you know, wanting like the best of her life, you know, not just for, you know, her own mental health, but, you know, for the baby itself, right? It's for health reasons. So having her going down this route, right, or the potential of her going down this route, is something that I've been longing for the show to do, and now that we are basically setting it up, I am very much curious to see where they're gonna go with this subplot of hers. And also, while keeping in with the scene of Walter and the student in the classroom, you know, once the student leaves and Walter is all alone, turns off the lights and all, there is this one particular shot that does grab my attention a lot, and that is like this shot right here, where Walter is, of course, you know, talking to, or not really talking to Jesse, but more like leaving a voice message for Jesse. But it's this shot of, you know, where we just linger on Walter's shadow for just a couple of seconds, right, before we pan out to Walter himself. That's really cool, because it's more so focusing on his shadow, right? There's this looming presence, this darker side of him, right? Because ultimately, that is who is talking to Jesse at this moment, right? It's not Walter White, it's Heisenberg. It's this other persona, this other figure that Walter created, and that is essentially his darker side. So, like I said in the beginning of the discussion, right? A lot of really great cinematography in this episode. This being one of them, right? Fantastic stuff. It's great symbolism and also really subtle, like it's a really subtle way of telling the audience like a certain message without overlaying it through exposition-y dialogue, right? Great stuff. And then we go from there to Jesse's place, right? Walter coming in. I talked about this, right? The symmetry of the house and all. But talking about Jesse just for a bit, I mean, this goes, you know, this ties directly after the previous episode where Jesse has to face a very difficult situation, right? Where he is dealing with, you know, the drug addicts, but at the same time, they have a son, and Jesse wants to save the kid, but he's trying to balance, you know, like, how do I save the kid and not ruin this kid's life at the same time, right? You know, for whatever I deal with the parents and stuff. And it's clear that this specific interaction, this specific moment has taken a toll on Jesse's like mental psyche, right? This whole event of like the father being literally crushed by the ATM. Also love the fact that Jesse also mentioned that the sound effects of the father being crushed by the ATM is really nasty. Like, I agree with you, Jesse. I agree. It does sound really squishy and not comfortable at all. But you can clearly see, you know, like multiple times already I've talked about this. Jesse is not cut out for this line of work, right? He wants out so badly. But of course, later down the line on the episode, Walter convinces him to get back into the groove, right? He convinces Jesse to, hey, you don't quit. Never give up. Never quit. You're Jesse Pinkman. And on one hand, yes, it is very admirable for Walter to pick Jesse back up, right, from a dark place. But at the same time, it also goes to show that Walter is a master manipulator, right? He has a way with words. We know this. We know how smart Walter is, not just with, you know, cooking meth, but also through his words because of his age, right, his wisdom. And I would say his pride, his ego is actually helping him in this regard, right? You need a level of confidence to do the things that Walter is doing right now, right? Manipulating Jesse, swaying words, you know, talking, bargaining with other people, right? Convincing them to do otherwise, right? Especially with like Tuco in the past, right? Now with Jesse, and who knows who else Walter is gonna do, right? But this is like one of those things where, yes, his pride, his ego, and whatever, his stubbornness is, in the long term, a negative aspect of his character, right? A flaw, if you will. But this is one of those instances where that flaw is used as a positive, as a strength, right? Because of his pride, because of his stubbornness, because of how much Walter prides himself as being, you know, like number one, the master, right? This figure, right, of authority, of power, right? And he wants more. He is able to do this. And he's able to do it to Jesse because he sees Jesse as a lesser person. At least that's how I am seeing it, right? If you want to assert dominance to, you know, to other people, you know, to control them, if you will, right? Obviously, you need one, of course, confidence. But if you lack the confidence, and this has happened before with Walter, right? Look at Gretchen and oh god, what was his name? Elliot, right? If you look at Gretchen and Elliot and, you know, the stuff with gray matter and stuff, Walter basically backed out, right? And again, we still don't know like the proper true narrative behind that incident on why Walter cut ties with them, or how how Elliot and Gretchen stole gray matter from Walter and what they did. You know, we still have no perfect idea of what happened in, you know, in that time of history. We're only like hearing and we're, you know, seeing fragments of it. So who knows what is the actual truth of that matter? But it is in that sort of situation where Walter backs out, right? He was unable to basically take gray matter for himself because by the looks of it, Elliot has the upper hand. Elliot is the better person than Walter, if you will, right? He got Gretchen, and then he got gray matter, right? He took the things that Walter could not obtain because Elliot, by the end of the day, right, is somebody who asserts more dominance than Walter. So Walter, as much as he can or as much as he wants to, I don't think he was unable to get a hold of it because he could not reach the same level as Elliot. But when it comes to Jesse, he doesn't see Jesse as the same eye-to-eye level as he does with Elliot, for example, right? Because they used to be co-workers, right? They used to be like a team, right? But here, Walter does not see Jesse as the same person, right? Or on the same level. No, I look down on you. You're younger than me. I control you. You need to obey me. I'm the one who's cooking meth. I'm the one who is, you know, helping, you know, making sure that the team stays alive, you know, like I'm the key to all of this, right? That's basically Walter's situation. That is basically what Walter is thinking, right? And this gives Walter the leverage, and it gives Walter the necessary courage and, again, confidence to do something like this. To convince Jesse to manipulate him, and Jesse can, and Jesse will be manipulated, at least in this section of the story, right? In this current moment, where Jesse kind of has no other choice but to obey Walter, right? Obviously, this can, and I hope, and I wish, and it should change by the end of the series, right? That is the paradigm shift, right? That's the point of the story where the sense or the power scaling moves or shifts, right? Whenever these two kind of fumbles the bag, whenever, you know, if it happens, right? And I hope it happens because they kind of have to, right? Again, actions have consequences, but let's not talk about that for, you know, for now, right? That's still like far away. But yeah, it just goes to show that Walter at this current point in time is able to manipulate a lot of people that he sees to be of a lesser status than him. That is about to change though, because as we all know, we're setting up more and more of the conflict, right? We're setting up more and more of the players involved. Tuco is gone. Who is going to replace Tuco? It's a free seat. Sure, Jesse and Walter's trying to reach that seat, but a lot of people are also gonna come in, right? And that was like the thing that they were talking about in this episode, right? It's the idea of taking control of these places and ultimately controlling the rest of the, you know, the rest of the city, the rest of the state even, right? If we're going like really, really big and ambitious, right? But we have seen how big the threat is. Through Hank and his subplot. This banger of a subplot, if you will. And we know this, right? We know, and I was trying to talk about it during the reaction, and then the explosion happened, and I was unable to talk further about it. But we know Hank's current situation. We know his mental issue right now, right? He is definitely having a lot of PTSD, especially during the events after Tuco and all, right? Because, you know, he killed a person. I've talked about this. I don't think Hank has ever killed a person. He has seen people die before, yes. But has he ever killed a person before? Like, there's a completely different psychological attack, you know, towards a person when those people or those person see people dying and making the people dying, right? like for me, and I would say a lot of people here as well. I mean, we've seen, news, shows, depictions of death and all, right? But we're seeing it through a screen, right? We're seeing it through, an image, the newspaper, or a news outlet, or, just a video and all. And while, yes, that is, some of it may be disturbing for a lot of people, yes, but it is very different from, like, seeing it and being the actual cause of it, because there's this weight that is like crushing you, right? At least that is how I would imagine it, right? From like all of these depictions of like people and like some of the interviews from like multiple different people who have experienced some of these in their lives before. Like, it is really a heavy toll. And Hank's whole situation, his development as a character in this regard, to me feels very realistic. And it is crazy to think that it is because of his PTSD with Tuco, right? His immediate gut reaction to seeing Danny Trejo's like head on a turtle and being so disgusted by it that he has to like go away and take a breather, right, to his car, right? It is because of that reason. It is because of his quote-unquote cowardice, right, as the other DEA agents in the scene mocks him for, like, hey, Hank, what are you, a coward? What are you, a pussy? Like, oh, come on, man, this is nothing, come on, right? It is because of that specific reason that Hank survived. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that fascinating at the same time? Hank is alive due to his cowardice, due to the fact that he has PTSD. And the problem now, he's gonna get more PTSD because of this. Like, he just saw a lot of the people that he just met die. And I don't know about you, but I feel like there's going to be a level of survivor's guilt for Hank, right? Because again, like, he's the only one who survived. Well, there are a few others, who are alive in this situation. Yes, it's not just Hank, but it's like the people who did die or the people who got hurt, they're the ones who are like really, really close to like Hank's team, I would say. Like this new team, right? Even though, yes, they were mocking him, before, right? Of like oh, this guy can't actually speak Spanish or whatever, right? But still, these are people that he is supposed to be working for and working close with in the future, and now half of them are gone or half of them lost their limbs. And Hank, because of his cowardice, again in quotations, like cowardice, right, is not something to be mocked upon, if we're being honest, right? It is perfectly fine for Hank to feel this way, right? It is a completely normal human reaction, but at the same time, it is something that needs to be addressed because it is going to affect his mental state, right? But he is going to definitely feel survivor's guilt after this. Like, he is going to feel guilty at the fact that he is able to survive and all of these other people did not. Like, this sense of, it should have been me, not them, or like and all. So I am very much curious to see where they're gonna take Hank from here, because they've been building Hank more and more, right? And I love it. This character who, at the beginning of season 1, was all happy-go-lucky, right? Almost stereotypical in a way, right? From his presentation, which, it's fine. It adds to his character, right? It makes his character more funny and different from everybody else who is like way more serious. It almost feels like a caricature, right? Maybe not as much as Tuco, for example, right? But still, right? Having Hank from season 1 to now, where now he's dealing with a lot of these, all of these major problems, and it's making him more and more of a broken person, right? you just can't help but feel for the guy. On one hand, this could lead to Hank quitting the DEA and the police altogether because of, trauma, paranoia, and all that stuff. And if he does quit, then it will provide some levity for Walter and Jesse and their operations, because now a family member wouldn't necessarily found them, and because if that does happen, then the conflict will be way more substantial and way more bigger, right? So the question of where Hank is gonna go from here remains to be seen. But one thing is clear. He needs therapy. He needs therapy, that's for sure. Man, this poor man. I really do feel for him. I really do. And it's this buildup of this character, this person that used to be the source of jokes and comedy, right, in season 1, because he's the one who's like bringing and bringing out like a lot of the jokes, right, and having fun, and then having that happen again in this episode where he is trying to make some jokes, he's trying to bring in the levity to the scene, but nobody's laughing. Nobody. The joke's dead. This is no laughing matter anymore. And they don't even understand what he's saying. So thematically, that is also great, right? The fact that the characters surrounding Hank from season 1 and 2 is like an indication of like the tone of the story, right? Or in more specifically, the tone for the subplot of Hank's character, right? It's not funny anymore. This is no laughing matter. Because right now, Hank's jokes, they no longer feel like jokes, but they now feel like a defense mechanism for, if you're feeling awkward, if you don't feel like you belong there, you're gonna crack some jokes like, yeah, we all been there before, right? Where we feel a certain emotion, right? Maybe it's fear, anger, and all, but instead of feeling those emotions, instead we laugh it off, right? That's gonna be Hank. Man, what a great character. I really love Hank. I absolutely love Hank. I mean, I've always loved Hank from like the beginning, but now it's like definitely top favorite characters of Breaking Bad, that's for sure. And then of course, Jesse and Jane. The final shot of the episode, right? This final shot of both of them just holding hands as they're watching the TV, searching for a signal, right? And there's just something sweet about this scene. Just something sweet about this shot, right? This growing relationship, right? In a story where a lot of the characters are breaking apart, losing connection, is no longer becoming closer and all. It is heartwarming, to say the least, that at least one of our main characters is getting the love and attention that he probably needed, right? What does Jane see in Jesse? I am not sure, but at this point, I don't really care. As long as she makes my boy happy, I am fine. Yeah, this whole shot is great. It is tilted though, which is kind of interesting. Yeah, it is tilted. So there's this slight feeling that something is off because it is tilted. Like this shot is not like it's not fully, stabilized or not, you know, on you know, on a same level and stuff. Like it's not and it's not fully tilted like a Dutch tilt, but it's just slightly tilted. It's kind of, it is kind of starting to get on me, but at the same time it does feel like something is off. I don't know. Maybe I'm looking into it like too deep, but overall this like blooming interaction, this blooming relationship of matter bonding, right, and becoming one. I don't know, it's I can't really describe it much except for it is heartwarming and sweet. Hopefully Jane doesn't die. Knowing Breaking Bad, and now we are killing people left, right, and center, right? Hopefully Jane doesn't die and ruin the mood, or at least not die this season, maybe in the final season, I don't know, but it does feel like they are setting up something to hold on to, so when that thing is lost, in this case it is Jane's character, when that character is lost or dies or goes missing or breaks up or whatever circumstances that separates these two, it'll be a very emotional moment for Jesse, that's for sure. It does feel like Jesse needs this, right? He needs somebody that is able to understand him, that is able to I guess relate to him, but more importantly, somebody that he can see eye to eye with, right? Because a lot of people in this show mostly looks down upon Jesse, right? From Walter, his parents even, right? All of them looking down on Jesse. And yes, there are his friends and whatnot, right? But you know, those are friends, those are bros, right? Bros stick together. But he needs more, right? He needs more than just friendship. He needs love and care and attention, and that is something that I don't think his friends like Badger and Skinny Pete and whatever can actually give to Jesse. So this is a really interesting and probably a really good plot development for Jesse and, you know, for Jane as well, right? I mean, hey, their house itself is setting it up, right? As I said, right? It's kind of like two buildings being conjoined into one, right? And becoming a symmetrical object, right? This bond, this bonding of matter, right? Same thing that is happening here. So really looking forward to seeing how this specific relationship blooms and how this develops, and see how, not just from like Jesse and Jesse and Jane's perspective, but also like their parents, because we know, you know, I think Jane, if I remember correctly, Jane still has her father, right? Jesse, of course, still has his mom and dad, right? So like, how are they going to see this? Like, are they gonna accept this or not? Or are they gonna be against it? Or are they gonna be supportive, right? What is their reaction? Because those are the people who are supposed to be giving these characters, you know, the love, care, and attention that they're, you know, supposed to deserve, right? But at least in terms of Jesse, they're not really giving it to Jesse, so let's see how they react to this. I don't know the situation with Jane's father, though. That is something that remains to be seen. And with that being said, that is going to be the end of my discussion for Breaking Bad Season 2, Episode 7. Again, fantastic episode. Quite literally a banger. I'll be seeing you all next time for the next episode reaction for Breaking Bad. Once again, drop a like if you haven't already. Let me know in the comment section what your opinion and your thoughts of this episode are. And of course, if you want to watch the next episode reaction, early access is available over at the Patreon. Links in the description below. That is it from me. Take care. Have a nice day. Peace.